evaluate, these hundreds of CVs per position. Each position is most likely going to have hundreds of CVs coming in. So you can imagine having to go through that entire process for, 5, 6 different, job roles or job openings within an organization. So what we are trying to look at today is to see how we can automate this kind of process, how we can make it happen a lot faster, more accurately, and a lot more efficiently by leveraging automation tools. All right, so I'm going to quickly go back in and share my screen once again as we get into the session. Right. Now my screen should be up any moment from now. But while that comes up, I would like to hear from every one of us as well. If you've had any exposure to artificial intelligence in any way at all, can you just go on to give me a thumbs up? Maybe you've used one particular AI model, ChatGPT, Cloud AI, Gemini, whatever AI tool you have used before. Can you just give me a thumbs up? Just one thumbs up if you've used any AI tool at all. Right, this is the thumbs up. If you've used any AI tool at all. Okay, that's interesting. So we have quite a number of people that have used AI tools before. That's interesting. That's interesting. Now, these AI tools, we've been able to see that these are really intelligent tools that can actually address and help us attend to certain tasks that might be that might require some level of extra thinking, that might require some level of extra thoughts to it. That might require some, extra work to actually execute. You can actually get AI models to perform such redundant tasks for you as quickly as possible. And then the reason why they are called AI systems or artificial intelligence is simply because they're able to perform tasks that usually require human intelligence. So you're asking ChatGPT, for example, to draft an email for you. Writing that email is typically a task that requires human intelligence. All right. You're asking, Gemini to come up with a report or come up with minutes from a meeting. That's actually an activity. That's actually a task that would typically require human intelligence. But the fact that you are able to leverage an AI system to execute such a task for you, the fact that you're able to develop a system that can do that task for you, that is what artificial intelligence is all about. And in today's session, we are looking at how we can leverage artificial intelligence in screening CVs, right, in as little as 5 minutes. So without any further ado, let's actually get into this. Now, we are saying that we can actually do this in today's session, and we want to get into doing this. But who exactly are we? Tenalytics, all right? Who exactly is Tenalytics business, and what qualifies us to actually take you through this session? What qualifies us to actually guide you through, getting into this AI space and really understanding what it's about, right? Before I move any further, I can see Alex's hand raised. Alex, you can go on to drop your question in the chat, and I would look out for that and respond to it as we go. All right. You can just drop your question in the chat, and my colleagues will be sure to respond to it. All right. Thank you, Alex. Now, who exactly is Tenalytics business, and what qualifies us to be in front of you today, teaching you about artificial intelligence and how you can leverage it within your workflow. Tenalytics business is a leading e-learning platform that's designed to help organizations. So our focus is on helping organizations and people like you and I who are interested in, upskilling and developing themselves professionally. The focus is simply so that you remain relevant within the, market space. You can actually leverage these skills that you have, upskill, and still remain relevant even with the burst of AI. A lot of people say AI is coming to take your jobs, but to be honest, the truth of the matter is AI is only coming to take jobs or taking the jobs of people who remain redundant, who remain stagnant within their roles. The way you can keep yourself relevant within your space is by learning how you can actually leverage artificial intelligence to make your work more effective, more efficient, and more productive. And that's why Tenalytics business exists. Now we have top tier trainers across multiple, lines of the tech space. We have professionals in multiple, sectors of the tech space that we are bringing in to actually take you through this session, including myself. All right, so my name is Jedidiah Usara, like I mentioned earlier. I currently lead the data science team here at Tenalytics, and I have well over nearly half a decade of experience within the data science, machine learning, and AI space. I've worked with organizations across the US, UK, Canada, across multiple, sectors like education, healthcare, finance, and so much more. All right. And I'll be bringing all of this wealth of experience in the technical space and its application of all the application of artificial intelligence in these practical sectors into the work that we're going to be doing in today's session. So just sit back, relax, pay attention, grab a notepad and pen so that you can, take notes as we go through the session. Now, even though I'm the one actually facilitating the session, I have my notepad and pen, as you can see right here with me. All right, so it's very paramount that you have things like this around you. So as we go through the session, you can actually take notes down of, some of the things that we are going over, and you can always revert to them. Now, also very importantly, you have to fill out the the attendance form so that we can actually share these resources with you. Okay, the recording of this session will be made available, but you'd only have access to it if you fill out the attendance form. So please do ensure that you go on to fill that form. All right. So now that we have gotten introduced, we are no longer strangers to each other. I think we can actually dive into the conversation for today. So after today's session, what exactly are we getting into in today's session? What is the objective of going into the session today? The first thing is to understand how AI is basically reshaping the world of work. Today, practically every industry is, looking for ways they can integrate AI into their operations. You'd find banks that, building their custom systems, right? You've heard of Leo at UBA, right? They are dedicated, chatbots that you can actually interact with for customer support. There are multiple businesses that are trying to build their own dedicated AI chatbots. So how exactly can you become a relevant talent within the workforce? By leveraging or knowing how to actually utilize these AI tools within your own specific sector. And today we are going to be focused on the human resource sector. All right. So how exactly can you remain relevant by leveraging AI tools like these in that space? You also want to understand the key skills required to start your AI career. What skills do you need? You need to understand how to prompt an AI system. You need to first of all understand what an AI system is. You need to be able to prompt that AI system. You need to be able to leverage it in multiple different ways. And today we'll be looking at how we can leverage artificial intelligence in building automated workflows that can perform repetitive tasks for us without requiring a lot of involvement from us, right? And we want to also see how Tenalytics can actually help you get into this space. So you want to remain relevant within the tech space or within whatever space you're currently working in. You want to still remain within that space, leveraging artificial intelligence so you don't get replaced by these tools. All right. We want to show you the purpose of this session is simply to show you how Tenalytics business can actually help you to get into this space and leverage these tools to upskill and remain relevant within the workforce globally. All right, let's quickly jump into this and start with the core case study that we have in front of us today. What is the purpose of doing this? We want to learn how we can actually automate a critical HR process. Think of pretty much every one of the process you go through every single day at work. If you walk into the office, if you just take the next minute and think about it, there are lots of activities that you actually go through that are, very repetitive. All right, a lot of tasks that you do pretty much every single day. You can think of a lot of them. All right, I would like for everyone to actually share just one thing out of all of the activities that you do at work. What's the one thing that you do practically every day and it's beginning to feel like a very redundant task that practically anyone can do? Right? What is one of the activities or something that you think you can pretty much automate? Can you think of anyone at all? I would like for everyone to go into the chat and just share what that is. We listened to the testimonial a moment ago, and the man in the testimonial was sharing about his story, his experience, where he's able to, grade students' assignments automatically without needing to necessarily be there physically. That's a redundant task, and he's able to automate that process, make it happen, through an AI system that automates that process and ensures that it is accurate, fast, and reliable. So I want everyone else to, just think about daily activities that you go through every single day. Okay, Mobology says sending of mails, right? That's a task that you typically go through all the time, every single day, right? So think of any one of the tasks. I would like everyone to share just one. Just one. Richard says data cleaning. You go through cleaning your data every single day. You need to make adjustments to this. All right. What other activities can you think of? What other activities can you think of that you go through every single day that can actually be automated? All right. Kefa says responding to memo. Adepoju says writing scripts. Right. The list is endless. The list is really endless. So how exactly can we help you to make these processes a lot more efficient? Chioma says lesson PowerPoint. She needs to prepare, PowerPoint slides for, lessons or classes that she's taking. So how can we automate these processes? How can we make them happen efficiently, right, with minimal involvement from us? Right now, we are looking at just one example, but this workflow can pretty much be applied, or the tools that we are going to leverage can pretty much be applied to, many other systems, right, across different, sectors of work. So we're going to be looking at how we can go through the process of, screening CVs using these tools, right? And now, what we want to see is how we can automate this process, right? What we can do is to see how we can automate this process. Based on research, we've seen that the average recruiter spends about 6 to 8 seconds scanning a CV. All right, you can imagine someone going through your entire CV in 6 to 8 seconds. They are prone to make mistakes. They are prone to miss out on certain key details as they go through that, because they are trying to go over that process as quickly as possible. And they are also considering the fact that they have hundreds of CVs to manually look over. Now, this process can take hours for them to actually complete the entire process. So how can we make this automated? How can we make this happen over a system that is accurate, and we can confidently tell that whatever output we are getting from this system comes with a level of accuracy that we can trust? All right. So we are moving from the manual approach of, reviewing CVs, which we've seen that on an average takes 6 to 8 seconds, right? This can be time consuming. If we have 500 CVs and you are taking 6 to 8 seconds, this can take up to 3 hours, 3 to 5 hours just going over the CVs. Right? And keep in mind that 6 to 8 seconds is not even enough time to really digest the content of that CV. So they are prone to make errors. They are prone to have inconsistency in how they, go over the CVs. It's possible that you saw one really good looking CV at the beginning and you probably made up your mind about that person. And then as you go on, you get to find out there's someone, there's another CV that's much better than the previous one that you have seen. You see that that can create room for, errors or inconsistencies within this process, right? Again, this is a very repetitive process because pretty much everything you're looking out for in one CV is what you would also look out for in the entire 499 other CVs. And you only have a limited time to actually go over these things. So how can we make this more efficient? We can leverage automation workflows, automated tools that can make it easy for you to screen hundreds of CVs in minutes. You no longer need to spend hours straining your brain trying to look at who might be the best suited candidate, right? You can actually leverage automated systems that can screen through hundreds of CVs in minutes. They can use objective scoring criteria. All you need to do is specify what the criteria for picking the best candidate is, and this system can automatically go through this entire process and get that done for you. It can also automatically log reports or log the results of its entire process for you. So all you have to do is build that system, define what the parameters are, what the conditions for evaluation are, what the metrics for deciding the best performing or the best CV is, and then set up that system and simply run all of the CVs into that system, and in minutes you'd have a full report that simply outlines all of the CVs that have been evaluated, all of the candidates, those that qualify, those whose CVs got rejected, based on the criteria that have been placed into the system. All right. Is all of this making sense to everyone? Type a one in the chat if you're still on track and all of this is actually making sense to you. Are you gradually seeing the relevance of actually having this automated system? How they can actually make your work a lot more productive, how they can make your work a lot more efficient. All right. Type a one in the chat if everything is making sense so far. Yes. If you are lost, type a zero. If you are confused and you don't know what we are talking about right now, right? Type a zero. Right. But if you're on track, you're actually following and it's making sense to you, type a one in the chat. All right. Awesome. Okay, Daniel's giving me a zero. All right, Daniel, I would really like to know what's confusing you. So you can just go on to type that in the chat. All right. Okunola, I can see your hand raised. Please just go on to type in the chat box if you have a question, and my colleagues would be sure to respond to that question. All right. Thank you so much. All right. So let's quickly forge ahead. All right. So just a quick recap of everything we've seen so far. We've gotten an understanding of what AI is, which I explained are basically systems that are designed to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, all right, or perform certain redundant tasks that we typically go through day to day. And I asked us earlier, what are some of the redundant tasks that we go through on a daily basis? Some of us mentioned, things like sending out emails, cleaning data, sending out reports, taking minutes for meetings, all right, and the likes of that. All right. And we see that AI is able to take us through all of these processes, right? AI is able to execute these processes for us effectively, accurately, and much more efficiently, right? And now we are focused today on seeing how we can
I'm Lily Jedidiah.
Hi, Treasure.
Yeah, your audio is okay. All right, it's good now. Your audio wasn't clear before.
Okay. Does it sound better, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, then. All right, so let me just move the mic much closer to my mouth. All right, so I hope that makes it sound much better. All right, great. So now that we have all of this in mind, we can get in and start seeing how this AI automation actually makes our work very much efficient. So we're moving from the manual method, which can be time consuming, very prone to errors and inconsistency, and would require some repetitive task that is very much prone to error. All right. And we're moving to an automated system that can make this happen a lot faster, a lot efficiently, and a lot more accurately. All right, so we're moving into this space and we want to see how we can build a system that executes this effectively for us. Now, in today's session, we are faced with a case study that would be looking into, that would take us through that entire flow. All right, and right here, we're working for Paddy Social. Now, Paddy Social is basically a social networking startup. Think of it like, Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp, right? They're simply a social networking platform and they are currently a startup, right? And they're trying to see how they can leverage, artificial intelligence in recruiting the best of the best people on their team. So because they're a startup, they're trying to get, the best people on their team so that they can, build out their entire platform to be a solid one that people can trust, people can actually leverage for, their various social networking, socialization and activities. So this organization is trying to see how they can hire the best talents to help them build this platform. Now, they've put out openings on multiple, positions within the organization, and they've come to realize that hundreds of people are actually applying, right? for each individual role, we have hundreds of people that are applying to these roles. So how exactly can we screen through these people and make sure that whoever we are hiring at the end of the day is someone that is proficient enough to execute what we expect them to work on and actually deliver on the task? So what they want us to do now is to build an automated system. The task that we are faced with is to build an intelligent system that can automate that entire workflow. That way, we don't need to spend hours trying to go through this recruitment process. And at the same time, we are making sure that we are being objective with our decision and we're not being biased in any way. So that at the end of the day, whoever is being picked as the best candidate is one that was picked based on specific criteria that we are evaluating every single CV on, and then we are picking up the best candidates based on this criteria. That's basically what we have in front of us. So Paddy Social wants to hire an AI engineer, but they need someone that can actually pass their test, that someone that meets basic criteria for them, someone that checks all of the boxes for them. And we want to make sure that whoever this person is, we are bringing in the right candidate for that role. Now, even after this, there are still other processes that we need to go through, like interviewing these people in person, going through technical interviews or whatever the case might be. But the very first stage is actually reviewing their CV. And based off of that, filtering out those who are potentially not going to fit into this role and actually getting the right set of candidates for the role. Right. So we've been faced with this assignment, and this is what we have in front of us to work on. Now, what we want to do is build a CV screening automation flow. But as we get into this, before we get into building that entire system, we first of all need to have an understanding of what the flow is meant to look like. What exactly are we building and what it is meant to look like? Now, at the end of the day, what we are going to be doing is basically taking multiple CVs from, the applicants. Right? We want to take all of these CVs. We want to review these CVs based on specific criteria. These CVs have to meet these very specific criteria. And once they meet these criteria, then we want to prepare a report. We want to see to what extent each CV met that criteria and if that person actually qualifies to move to the next stage of the interview. Is this making sense? Give me a thumbs up if it is. That was just a basic overview of what we want to do, right? Take the CVs of everyone that has applied to the job. We want to review those CVs based on very specific metrics, based on very specific criteria. And then after evaluating based on these criteria, we want to make a final decision as to who gets to move forward to the next stage of the interview. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Give me a thumbs down if it's confusing. If it's not clear, give me a thumbs down. Okay. All right. Awesome. Awesome. So let's actually get into this. We want to start out this process by, first of all, getting everyone to apply. That's where the cycle starts from, right? People have to apply. And when they apply, they submit their CVs. And in most cases, their CVs would be a PDF. So we need to have a storage location. All right. We need to have a storage location where we have all of the CVs, right? Please pardon my drawing. Okay. Please pardon my drawing. So we first of all have a central location where we are getting all of the CVs from, right? And once we get all of these CVs, we actually pass them. Sorry. All right. So let's get into this. So we get all of these CVs within a central location. Let's call this a database. All right. So this is where we have our CV. We have all of the CVs stored in a specific location. Now, once we get these CVs, we have to pass them through a specific set of criteria. So let's call this our rubric, all right? That basically so the function of the rubric is simply to evaluate the function of the rubric is simply to evaluate how well, right? Based on very specific criteria, the function of the rubric is to evaluate how well this particular CV matches the expectations of the business. So the person submits their CV, we take that CV and evaluate it based on the rubric that we have prepared. So there are very specific criteria, very specific metrics that we want every single person that we want to take on for this role to actually meet. So we get the CVs, we pass them through that rubric, ensure that we are evaluating them to meet the criteria, and then we are gauging everyone's score. So after we pass them through this rubric, we actually assign a score to each person. All right. So we evaluate this person's CV based on this rubric, and then we assign a score to each one of these persons. Right. And then after we assign a score to these people, then we compare the scores with our benchmark. And then we say, oh, if this person does not get up to a 50, they do not qualify to go into the next stage. If they do not get up to a 60, they do not qualify to the next stage. So we score, and then we compare that against our benchmark. And then after we have gotten that score, then we want to have an output. We want to have a report. All right. Then we want to have a report of all of the details of who passed, who failed, what exactly was their score, and why exactly they did not qualify, or why exactly they actually qualified for that particular role. All right. So we want to be able to evaluate, we want to be able to score them, and then prepare a detailed report that outlines whether or not they passed and why exactly they did not pass. So we are not just, giving a report of who passed and who failed, but we want to be able to also explain and see if we are being biased in any way. Right, we want to be able to explain and say, oh, this person passed because of this and that value that appeared on their CV, and it aligns with what we were actually expecting. And this person failed because they did not have this and that on their CVs. Give me a thumbs up if this is making sense. Give me a thumbs up if this is making sense. So right now we can proceed into the actual practical work. All right. So right now we can get into actually working on this entire workflow, and we are going to be leveraging a tool called N8N. Right. We're going to be leveraging a tool called N8N, or you could call it Nodemation. All right. Now, the simple meaning of N8N is, node automation or automation. And what that simply helps us to do is automate systems like this. This is a cycle that will typically repeat itself over and over again. And if we have 100 CVs, it means we have to repeat this entire cycle for 100 different CVs. We would look at the CV, would evaluate it based on the rubric that we have, and then assign a score to it and pass that into our report. If we have 100 CVs, we have to go through this entire process for those 100 CVs. Now, when we are developing, automating this process, we can leverage a tool like N8N. And what that helps us to do is take these individual processes, these individual chunks of work, right? Collecting the CV, storing it, evaluating based on the rubric, assigning a score, and creating a report. These become individual nodes in the entire flow, and then we are automating these individual groups of tasks. That's basically what N8N helps us to do. Takes on a workflow and then automates that process, ensuring that it can happen over and over and over again, and we can loop over this process over and over and over again. Now, keep in mind that this is a cycle that has to repeat over and over again. When this happens for one, CV, the cycle has to repeat itself again for the next CV, right? So once one CV has been able to go through this process, the cycle has to repeat itself for the next CV, and it has to continue going over and over again until we have exhausted every single CV that has been, submitted into this for these particular positions. So right about now, we are going to get into actually practically implementing this within the N8N environment. Now, for the sake of time, like I explained before, I'm simply going to walk us through this process. What I need you to do is pay attention, grab your book and pen, and make sure that you are actually taking notes as we go through this process. Right? The recording is going to be made available to us. However, for you to have access to that recording, you have to fill out the form that my colleagues are sharing in the chat. So very importantly, make sure you are filling out the attendance form so you have access to this. right? Right about now, we can jump into, the practical application of what we are doing. Now, when we get into Nodemation, there's a system for how things work when it comes to automation. And there are four major things that you actually need to actually effectively run an automation system. The very first thing you need is a trigger, right? The very first thing you need is a trigger. Right? This is what starts the entire flow. This is what tells the flow to actually start. This is what tells the flow. This is when you actually need to start. For multiple different, activities, they can have unique triggers, right? If I go back to the chat, let me actually pick just one example from all of the examples that we shared earlier. All right, so let me just go back to the examples. We mentioned a couple of activities that we would like to automate, right? We mentioned a number of activities that we would like to automate. I'm going to go to responding to memos for Kefas. Responding to memos. For you to respond to a memo, it means you have received that memo in the first place. So you can, just set up that whenever a new memo is gotten into my email or whenever I receive a memo, that is what will trigger this entire workflow to actually start. The workflow does not start until I actually receive a new memo, right? That is what could be your trigger for that particular workflow if you are automating that process. You want to clean data. Your trigger could be when you have new data inputs, or you could define a specific time and say, oh, every single day or every Monday at 9 a.m., I want you to go into my database, look at all of the data that I have, and then go on to clean it. All right. So the trigger is basically what tells the entire system when to start, when exactly it should start. And then after the trigger, we need to define the flow and logic, right? After having the trigger, we need to define the flow or the logic, all right? We need to define the flow or the logic. So how exactly do we want this to go? What should be the sequence of activities that should happen in this automation? What should happen first? What should come next? What should come third? And what should come at the end of the entire flow? So you want to define the entire logic and the entire flow. All right. We want to define the entire flow of how the complete process goes through. Right? You want to define the entire flow of how the complete process goes from end to end. So the flow and logic would be the next thing. What comes first? What comes next? What comes last? In our case, we first of all get the CV, then we evaluate based on the rubric, then we score, and then we create a report. So this would be defined as the logic or the flow of the entire, automation, right? And then one more important thing we need to have would be conditions. Are there any conditions? If one process fails, if one process does not happen, what is the alternative to that? If one process fails, if it does not happen, what is the alternative to that? And then finally, we want our outputs. And this pretty much defines the life cycle of an automation workflow, right? This just gives us an introduction to what automation looks like and how we can actually execute it in the n8n space. So very quickly, what I would do is simply take us into n8n, and then we can get started executing this entire workflow, all right? So what I'm going to do is stop sharing this screen, and then we'll get started with the practical application of this workflow. All right, so just stick with me while I share my screen in a quick moment, and then we can get started. All right, I see Drake's hand raised. Drake, please, you can go on to drop your question in the chat. My colleagues will be sure to respond. I can also look at it at intervals and see what questions I can respond to. All right. So Drake and Hamad, you can just go on to drop your questions in the chat. All right, so let me actually go on to share my screen again. All right, and this should come up any moment now. So while that comes up, right, like I said before, if you have questions, you can go on to drop them in the chat. I'm looking out into the chat and actually responding to the questions in here. And I'll attend to as much as I can. So you can drop a question in the chat. My colleagues will be sure to respond. I would also be looking out for questions and, responding to them as well. All right, so my screen should be up now. All right. And then we can get into this. Now, I have a couple of materials that I have prepared that would help us to go through this process. The very first is basically the CVs that we have actually collected through the application process. So people are applying to this role at, Paddy Social, and these are the CVs that we have actually gotten for that specific position that we want to fill out. All right, we have over 20 CVs here already, right, that have been submitted for that specific position. Now, this entire process we're going to be building knows no limits as regards to the number of materials that it can go over. It has no limits basically. As long as you have the system running, it can keep iterating over all of this and it doesn't get tired. I mean, it's a program, it's a computer, right? It doesn't get tired at all. So we have all of the CVs that have been used to apply to this role all within this drive. And then we have the rubric for evaluating who is a good fit for that position. So if we look at the rubric, we'd see that there's a score that's attached to this, to each metric, right? For categories, we have multiple categories. We want to look at technical skills. We want to look at programming and engineering skills. We want to look at applied AI and product fit, innovation, creativity, communication skills, right? And these are all the metrics with which we are deciding who is the perfect fit, who is going to be a good fit for this particular position. And then there's a score attached for each metric. We're going to evaluate based on what they have on their CVs and looking at this rubric, who exactly meets the criteria that we have set in here for that particular role. So we need someone who demonstrates knowledge of artificial intelligence, ML frameworks, TensorFlow, PyTorch, sklearn, etc. So whatever this person is putting on their CV, if they do not have these major things that we have indicated to be among technical skills, then they miss out on this score. All right. So what we are looking for, what's the criteria for evaluating this person to have the score? We want to look for any projects that mention implementation experience of these specific tools. So we see that this is a very well-defined rubric and we are able to have a score being assigned. This is basically the weight, 25. So out of 25, what exactly is the score of this person out of 25 based on whether or not they mention these things on their CV? Give me a thumbs up if this makes sense. Give me a thumbs up if this makes sense. All right, so now that we have that out of the way, we can move on to the next thing. All right, so now we have the rubric and we understand what it does. Now, beyond the rubric, we also want to look at what the submissions were, job application for this position, right? For Paddy, Paddy Social. What were the submissions that we got? Who actually made submissions, and what were these submissions? So here we have, the date when this person submitted their CV. We have their full name, we have their email address, and the drive or the location where exactly their CVs were stored, so we can easily access it by looking at this drive. Right now, after we have evaluated all of these based on the rubric, we actually want to have a report in this sheet over here that basically shows us how well each person performed based on the CVs that they submitted. So after we evaluate each CV, we want to have a report in this sheet over here. So these are the CVs that were submitted. Excuse me. And out of these CVs, this is where we are going to have the report of the evaluation of these individual CVs. So now we have an understanding of the resources that we are going to need to go through this entire process. What we'll simply do is go in here and start building the entire automation workflow. So let me refresh this page so we can get started. All right, so let me just restart that, and then we can get right into it. Okay, let me just restart N8N, and then we can get right into working on this. Just give this another minute, and then we can get started. All right. So far, is everything making sense to you? Give me a thumbs up if all of this makes sense. What the rubric does, what the job application sheet is, and what this particular empty sheet, this currently empty sheet, is going to help us to do. In the end, everything is going to come together to help us have a robust workflow, right? That helps us to execute and screen through these multiple, CVs that we're actually evaluating. All right. So again, we'll go through this entire process step by step. Now, one very important thing to keep in mind is that this would have to be connected to all of the resources that we need. So for example, if you look at the files that we are looking at right now, we have all of the CVs that we're going to be evaluating stored in a Google Drive. And then we have the rubric in Google Sheets. So to ensure that we have this workflow working efficiently, we need to ensure that this workflow is able to connect to the Google Drive so that it can read all of these files, as well as ensure that it's also connected to Google Sheets so that it can read the rubric and evaluate every single one of the CVs based on the metrics and criteria that are actually pointed out within that particular space, right? Please give me a minute to get some water. All right, let's dive right back into this. So like I explained a moment ago, for us to actually read all of these files within, the N8N space, we need to be able to run all of them. We need to be able to connect N8N to these actual files. All right, so let's get right into this and actually see how that connection is established and how we can actually run the entire automation workflow. All right, let's just give this another minute. All right, so let's rerun that. And then we'll be able to go through the entire process. All right. Okay, so let me share a different tab that we can get into this. All right. So now we have access to N8N. And for us to actually go through this process, we need to connect it to, the necessary resources that would actually need to run this process. So first off, like I mentioned, we need to connect to Google Drive as well as Google Sheets. So we'll have to come over to credentials, which is the part that actually allows us to connect to all of these tools. So I'll simply come over to add first credential because this is the very first time I'm connecting to any credential at all. The first I'm going to start with is going to be Google Drive. So I'll just type Drive, and you can see it says Google Drive Authentication 2 API. This basically allows me to connect to Google Drive through this actual account. So I would go on to select it and click on Continue. Right. And once I do that, I can go on to select or connect to Google Drive directly from this space. So I can go to client ID, client secrets, select the necessary details that I want to use for this, and then I'll be able to set it up directly, right? And I want to connect based on this email, and then we're good. Right, so let's look into this. Now we have access to, and okay, my screen is not actually let's see. Yes, my screen is actually off. So we have access to n8n right now. And let's first of all have an overview of what the n8n environment looks like. So we have multiple sections within this n8n environment. The very first is the workflows part. And this is majorly focused on, displaying to us what, each of the activities that are happening, every single workflow that we have that runs a very specific process is basically designed to be housed within this space. And then credentials is where we basically have information that allows us to connect to external sources. For example, we will need to connect to Google Drive, and Google Drive is not a native N8N product. So we'll need to connect to that externally, and would need to create a link, a connection between, N8N and your Google Drive. Then we also need executions. Right. This basically gives us information about each time we actually ran a workflow. How long did it take to run? When did it start? What was the execution ID that we can go back to? Variable gives us information about what variables were created, and then data tables basically tells us about the data that we are actually interacting with in this workflow. So what I'm going to do is restart this entire system so we can go through it step by step. Right? So just give me the next couple of minutes. So I'll restart this entire system, and then we can cover everything step by step, starting from the very first stage of the entire flow all the way to the very end, explaining everything in very clear detail. All right. So let's get started with this process. Right. Let's take the next minute to just restart this, and then we'll execute it end to end. Now, I believe this is all making sense to everyone. The concept of automation and how anything can actually help us to achieve that within this space. So in a short moment, I'll be bringing up my screen one more time, and then we'll go through actually implementing these workflows using N8N. Right, so let's just give it another second, and we can go through the implementation process for all of these, activities that are going to be going over. Again, we've been able to see the entire cycle from start to finish, right? Looking at where exactly it starts, what triggers the entire flow. In our case, we want to be able to control that. So we want to be able to control what triggers it. We want to be able to tell it directly when to start and when to end, right? So we're going to be defining that ourselves directly within the workflow. And in that case, we want it to actually be a click of a button. Right? We want this to actually start by a click of the button. So when we click the button, is actually when the system starts. Right? When we click the button, is actually when the entire system starts. And it runs through the entire flow and then gives us a report at the end of it. So let's start
this process.
Okay, so this is coming up shortly, and then we can dive right into it. So this is loading up. Let me actually pull up my screen. Let's just give anything another moment to come up. They would be able to access this. Right, so this is loading up. Patient, they say, is a virtue. All right, so let's just give this another moment. Okay, so it looks like we're up and running now. Let me share my screen again. Uh-huh. Just let me know once my screen is visible. I believe it should be now. I believe my screen should be visible right about now. All right, so let's go on into N8N. All right, so we have our container in here and it's currently running. Let's get into that space. All right, so let's go on to run init-n and actually connect to this. We have this running. All right, so this seems to be failing for some reason. What I'm going to do is try to reconnect this while I hand over to my colleague who is going to be taking us through how we can actually get started with this journey. And then hopefully we'll see how we can get back to fixing this and actually going through the entire workflow and practically, running it and seeing it actually gets executed. All right, so I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Treasure, who take us through how Treasure.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Please confirm you can hear me. You can give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I want to wake up everybody that started sleeping. Please go ahead with the reactions. Hi, Peter. Hi, Yusuf. Hi, Yobana. Hi, John. Please, I need to know people have not slept and because right now we're about money. Okay, first off, apologies for the technical glitches that has been going on. Sometimes that's pretty much what happens. But right from we're just gonna chat a tad bit the resume aspect that Jedediah was talking on. So I'm just gonna go ahead to share my screen. So please give me a thumbs up when you can see my screen. If you can see it, please give me a thumbs up session. Can anyone just so we can continue with the class? I want to know what we have learned. Okay, I know Jen itself, but discussion and all the fantastic things that having an reason to having an actual manual process. All the major differences are give you like a verbal understanding of the process. If you look apply for specific role, you can do that with an anytime work. You want to apply for a job instead of me to having to manually go to LinkedIn, look for this particular job role and apply for it. Now I have the opportunity to do that using N8N from start to finish. And how do you do it? Okay, instead of your trigger to start with 24 hours. By the end of every 6 hours, pull up the job from LinkedIn, pull up the job from what do you call it now? Indeed, pull up the job for all those different. Once you have that all set up, now it's create your master resume. So you have your master resume good and ready to go. Your resume is going to basically the experience that regards you as a person. So if you are looking for an AI data, it is not in that master the data science into and put it in resume and compare it to all the in LinkedIn and all those aspects. So these are something you can do with anytime. Okay. So once you have your master resume sorted, it's now looking at different job roles. It compares with that particular JD, and then it says, "Oh, this is a good how compatible with this particular job." If you and above giving it a prompt, this is you state, this is where it needs to be.
Hello, Treasure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, the audio was skipping for a bit. But I think we can actually get into this. All right. So what I would do is simply take us through the workflow real quick. All right. And would actually see the entire workflow practically being implemented as we go. All right. So Treasure, I don't know if you can hear me. So while Treasure tries to resolve that, we can actually see this practical implementation while she comes on to tell us how we can make that transition. All right. Okay, so let's get right into this. What I'm going to do first of all is actually going to share my screen. And then we can get started with this process. Now, I've gone through the entire cycle and have actually built the entire workflow for us. All right, so we can actually go on to have a look at what this entire workflow looks like, right? And as well as look into building it from scratch to get that right here on the call. But for the sake of time, I think we can just go right into, actually implementing the workflow. All right, so let's just get right into, running the actual workflow and seeing what the results actually look like after executing the workflow. What I'm going to do is break down each step, each, node within this entire workflow and help us understand how exactly the execution lifecycle goes. I'm going to start with the very first part. Now, when I was explaining earlier, I made us understand that for your entire automation workflow to work, there has to be something that triggers it, that tells the workflow, this is when you start. This is when you start working. This is when you initiate your entire operation, right? And that's what we call the trigger. So in our case, we want to actually click. We want to use a click of a button to actually initiate the entire workflow. And that's what we have here at the very beginning of the entire workflow. This is what tells the entire workflow. This is when you start. This is the process you go through. And this is when you end, right? So our trigger in this case is going to be a click, right? Let's actually build this from scratch. Let's go through, putting together all of these components from scratch. Now we can go back to the overview or the home view. And in here, we can basically see some of the components that I already have, the workflows that I have previously created. While we can go to create a completely new workflow by clicking on this button at the top right corner, you see where it says create workflow. We can also click on that button, And that brings us into this new page where we can actually create a new workflow. Now you can actually pick up a template that's made available to you by Anyten, or you can start completely from scratch, which in our case would be the approach we want to take. We want to start completely from scratch by adding a new step. And remember, the first step for every automation is always the trigger that tells the automation this is when you start. So in our case, we want a manual trigger. Whenever we click this button is when we want the entire workflow to actually start running. Now, once we click this button and we start the entire flow, the very first thing we want to do is to be able to connect to that drive. Remember this drive we saw earlier, right? We want to be able to connect to that drive where we have every single CV that we are using, where every single one of these CVs have been stored. So we want to connect to that drive. So what we'll do is click on this plus icon over here, and this brings up the panel on the right hand side. When we click on this plus button, it brings up the panel, and inside this panel is where we get to search for what exactly we want to connect to. In our case, we want to connect to the drive, right? So we want to connect to Google Drive. And what exactly do we want to do from Google Drive? We want to search for files and folders. We want to search for files and folders. We want to be able to retrieve a very specific value from this Google Drive. Now, once we select that option to select files and folders, to search for files and folders, it brings us to this page over here. This is where we configure what exactly we are searching for. So first off, we have to connect to that Google Drive account, which I showed us earlier, right? We need to authenticate and ensure that this is connected to our Google Drive so that we can read the files in our Google Drive. Once it has been connected, then we want to specify what kind of resource we are looking for. Are we specifically looking at shared drives? Are we looking at folders? Are we looking at API calls? Or we're looking at files and folders generally? And this is what we want, files and folders. The operation we want to conduct is simply a search. And then we want to search for file and folder by their name. Now, we can scroll all the way down here and specify what exact file we want to look for. What is the exact file that we want to look for? So we can come to filter, click on add a filter, and we want to look at a very specific folder in our drive. Now, what is the name of this folder that we want to look for? We can click on the drop down and locate that exact folder we want to look at, which in our case is the Paddy upload your CV. So once I go on to type Paddy, it searches through my entire drive, and you can see that it's bringing up that folder where I have all of the CVs uploaded. So once I select that folder, it has been uploaded or attached to this entire list. And now once I go back here, I can execute the step, right? And come back to my canvas, and you can see that this is that particular step that we had. And now I'm able to search these files and connect to all of the folders within this file, right? I'm able to connect to everything within this space. Now, the next thing or the next item we have on our list is actually to go into this drive now. After we have connected to the drive, the next thing we want to do is to look over every single file in the drive. We want to look at each CV at a time, one CV at a time. We want to look at what this person submitted and want to be able to, glance over what exactly was their submission. How does this align with the evaluation that we have on ground? And is this in alignment with what we expect for that role? What score did this person get? And can we actually hire this person for the role that we are trying to hire for? All right. So what we want to do is actually look into the entire submissions that we have, evaluate what score this person would have based on what they have put together in their CV, and then see if they actually qualify to actually be gotten into that role. So let's actually get into this. Now we've been able to read all of the files, and we want to iterate over this. So what we are going to do is run a loop on every individual file within that particular space. Right. So what I would do is bring us in here. All right. So we have this. We're just going to go into the already completed one. All right. So we've been able to read the file successfully. Right. This is where we read the files. Remember, we are connected to this Google Drive, and we have all of the necessary configurations in place. We are uploading from this folder where we are reading our CV. So we call this Paddy. So we call this PADI, and we are able to connect to that drive where we have our data. Now, after doing this, we are able to go on to read everything. And you can see after we are looking over the entire list, we are evaluating whatever is inside that file based on this sheet over here. Now, what exactly is the content of this sheet? When I go on to open this sheet, you'd find that the content of this sheet, which we are evaluating that on, is simply the rubric that we had earlier on. So basically what is happening is we are reading each individual CV that was submitted, and we are evaluating it based on this specific rubric. So you can see that sheet I just opened right now from our workflow, right? You can see that it connects from the drive through this loop where it's taking one CV at a time, and it's evaluating it based on this sheet here. And when I open the sheet, you can see that that sheet simply outlines the rubric for evaluating everyone's performance within that, everyone's CV evaluation based on this rubric. Now, as we go through retrieving each one of these files from the drive, we still need to extract the PDF, the individual files, one after the other. So we have this drive here, which is a temporary storage location that simply collects that file and then extracts it as a PDF and then can come back to be merged here. So we are extracting that PDF, evaluating it against this rubric, and whatever we have at the end of the day is basically specific details as well as the evaluation output. And both of those information are merged here. So we basically have, the name of the person, their email, and certain details that we need about this person, as well as what their evaluation metrics were based on, the rubric that we currently have. So this kind of defines the logic for how the evaluation goes. And then we are able to merge both of them at this point over here. Now, once this merging happens, back at this point, we need to aggregate. We are looking at each individual metric based on this rubric. And by the time we are collecting everything, we need to eventually aggregate the total performance of each employee and be able to tell, oh, this person performed at this level, this person performed at this level, this person performed at this level. All right. So this aggregation simply happens on all of those values that we have collected through the entire workflow so far. And by the time we get all of these values, then we have this final part that basically scores each person's CV. So we are looking at each person's CV. We're extracting very specific information, and we are looking out for very specific details. Does this person include Python in their CV? Did they include deep learning in their CV? Did they include, maybe a degree in their CV? Do they have relevant educational background in relation to, the job opening that we currently have for an AI engineer? Did they fill in their names? Did they provide their details? What was their total score at the end of the day? Do they have machine learning experience? So all of this basically defines the logic for who gets qualified at the end of the day. So all of this code here defines the logic for who exactly gets qualified at the end of the day based on the specific metrics that have been indicated within the rubric. So once we get all of this, we aggregate, we score everyone, and then at the end of the day, we get our results in this final sheet. Now, once again, I'm going to open this final sheet so we see what is actually the content of this sheet. I showed this sheet to us earlier, but I'm just going to go on to open it one more time so we see what is actually in here. So AI CV screening. Yeah, this was the full sheet itself. It's currently loading. The sheet will come up very shortly. Now, if you recall, I showed us this sheet earlier where I showed us every single submission that we had, as well as every person that had made a submission within the sheet. So this is AI CV screening. And in here, we are meant to see the results. So this is right now the current results that we have. What I'm going to do is clear out all of these results, right? What I'm going to do is clear out all of these results. This was the result after testing that entire workflow. So what I would do is highlight this entire result and clear it out. All right. Now that I've cleared out the entire result, I'm going to rerun the entire workflow. Now we are seeing that it's completely blank now. And the expectation is for this entire workflow to run based on the explanation so far. First of all, it starts by linking to the CV, to the drive where all of the CVs are. And then it loops over each single CV one at a time. And as it loops over each CV, it's now looking at that CV, looking out for specific details from the PDF and comparing it against the rubric. And once it has all of those details, it merges them and then pushes it for aggregation and evaluation before we have the results logged in this final point. So what we want to do right now is run the entire workflow. You can see that right now our results are empty. There's nothing currently here. So what we'll do is come back in here and actually execute the entire workflow. So when we run it, you can see that the loop starts from the beginning. It gets in here. Let's actually hold on for this flow to actually get started. So we'd see how the cycle runs, right? You see that it continues to loop over in this cycle until it is done with looking at every single CV that we have. And then it moves forward to aggregating and comparing all of the values, putting together all of the scores, and then matching them into this final report. All right, so let's just give this a moment, right? A couple of minutes for this to run. And while this is running, I think I can go on to hand over to my colleague, Treasure. Treasure, are you all set?
Yeah, please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can.
All right,
fantastic. So as we can see, the cycle has started, it's running. It's going to continue in this loop until it's done looking at every single one of the CVs that we have. So you can see the first cycle is currently running. It's getting the CV, it will export it as PDF and then merge it back in here based on the metrics that we are looking at. And then it goes back again to pick up the next CV and repeats this entire cycle again. It will repeat this entire cycle until it is done exhausting every single CV and has been able to evaluate every one of the CVs based on the rubric that we have in here. Right, so this will take a moment to run through the entire cycle, repeat it for every single one of the CVs. But again, you see that this takes off the manual labor from you as the HR expert that's reviewing these CVs. Now you can allow this to run and go about your day and go on to make yourself a cup of coffee or something. You can see that we have 20 items coming into the loop and they are being executed one at a time. We're currently on the first item, right? So if I zoom in here, you see that we had 20 items come into the loop, and right now we are currently on the first item. So once this runs, you'd see that the number will change from one item to become 2 items, and the loop will continue until we have our final results at the end of the day. So I think at this point, we can see that everything is working, and I can actually hand over to Treasure to take things over from here. All right, so you can see it's back to 2 items, it's still running, and the cycle continues. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Treasure.
All right, thank you so much, Debdaya. Please confirm you can hear me before you log off.
Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic. Really, really sincerely apologize for the whole technical glitches, but I'm just going to take the next 5-10 minutes to go over the monetization aspects. But if you have any question, please just raise your hands down. Jedediah will still be here. You can also drop your questions in the chat, especially with the workflow. So if you have any major question in regard to that, you can drop it in the chat, you can raise your hands, and then we'll quickly take that right after this aspect of the session. So quickly running back to my slides, just going to pull that up and then we get started. So please confirm if you can see my screen, guys. Confirm you can see my screen. So I'm just gonna go ahead to pin that as well. Okay, so basically of the different what you've just heard end to end, we're looking at the HR aspect of things, that's human resources in regards people and culture. Okay, so if you want to understand why your staff are not, or why your staff are resigning, what's the performance rate for one department as against the other, that is where something that Jedediah has stated can also be super helpful. If you're looking at resumes, getting the proper talent as well, this is something that is also very, very important. So now we're looking to focus on fastest growing jobs in 2025. Okay, so there are some jobs that are going to decline by 2026 up to 2030, and that wouldn't pay anyone in that sector. Okay, so now how do you focus, or how do you find these particular roles that are going to increase at that point. And this is what we basically help to do with this document. So if you go to the World Economic Forum states that there are specific roles that are going to increase between 2025 and 2030. And those roles are big data specialists, fintech engineers, AI machine learning specialists, and those specific kind of roles. Okay. And then if you go all the way to this aspect, you see that there's the HR aspect of things. Okay. So the job roles that are looking to increase in 2025 are data specific roles, AI specific roles, HR specific roles, projects management specific roles, business analysis specific roles, end to end. So a lot of people have reached out to us. Okay, we've had clarity sessions and they say, "Oh, Treasure, I'm looking to get a foreign role. Oh, Treasure, what job would most likely get me a better salary or a better pay?" Okay, so looking at the World Economic Forum, after doing the analysis, these are top roles that you would focus and get quite a lot of money from end to end. Okay, so now based off all that, we've now sort of streamlined them to 5 courses. So 5 courses, like I mentioned, AI automation end to end. So something that Jedediah just did right now is automating the entire process in regards screening resumes. But there are quite a number of things. Before I got caught off, I was talking about applying for jobs. A lot of people are trying to apply for jobs, but a number of people get tired of the process. Like if you have to apply for 10 jobs, you're already bored of, repeating the same thing over and over again. What if AI can sort that problem out for you end to end? For that dream job that you're looking for, what if you don't need to manually search those jobs out and do your applications? Your resume is created by AI. The jobs is being found by AI. The entire process is done by AI. That's fantastic, right? What if as a data analyst, instead of you cleaning thousands and thousands of rows and columns, that process can be automated end to end. That's what AI is looking to achieve for you. Okay. For an organization, for a business, what if you could analyze your data and then make reasonable insights at the end of the day? That's also what AI is looking to achieve for you. So based on all that, we came up with these specific roles that you can learn end to end. So they are AI automation engineer. There is generative AI for data analytics, generative AI for HR analysts, AI for business analysts, AI for project managers as well. And these are 5 top roles across the world, whether you're in Nigeria, Africa, US, Canada, that has a very strong growth trajectory end to end. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go over each of them. If you listen to the testimonial, this particular individual to be able to grade his students' activities, grade their assignments, grade their tests. Imagine if you have over 1,000 students in a university, you know how strenuous that can be. You can create it to do that, and that's what AI automation engineer is looking to do end to end. So how can you automate your processes? How can you automate your workflows to ensure that you have your activity done faster and quicker? And at the end of the day, you save time, you save money, and you earn more money. So if you are looking for a full-time role as an AI automation engineer, please don't be scared of the name engineer. You can be in finance, you can be a lawyer, and you're still going to benefit from the AI automation engineer role. It is not limiting. It's just one of the nomenclatures. You are basically a workflow specialist. A workflow specialist can work in whatever industries without any hitches. You can be in the finance space, you can be in the medical space, and then you can always make use of AI, because at the core foundation of things, everyone runs with data, everyone have processes, and that's where AI automation engineer comes into play. So for this particular course, we're going to be taking it end to end from foundation. Oh, what are AI agents? What is the AI tools I'm going to be working with? And how can I implement it for my industry? Or no, I'm looking to transition out of finance or tech or teaching. How can I get started? Well, we're having the AI automation engineering class. At the end of the day, we're also going to teach you how to monetize your skills. So it's one thing to just work with different tools, but it's not to just do that. It's to teach you, give help you portfolio, because before you get to AI automation, what have you built? List the different APIs, different AI agents, different AI workflows, and you need to be able to present that end to end. So at the end of each week, you'd have a project that you're working on, and that keys into your portfolio. Another important step is your LinkedIn. A lot of people cringe at the thought of LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is a very good place to meet other professionals. That's where I got my job in the UK as well. Okay, so if you're talking about that, how can you optimize your LinkedIn? You can't be an AI automation engineer and there's nothing that relates. There is no keyword. So what if a recruiter is looking at your page? How can you optimize that flow? That's what we're going to help you build. In terms of building, writing posts as well, we're putting out content. You created a workflow. You're supposed to have a video that shows, oh, this is the workflow I've done. You post it on LinkedIn. You get other insights from other individuals. That's something that also helps in the long term. So we optimize your LinkedIn profile. A lot of you right now, if I ask you when last you posted on LinkedIn, it's going to be like, what, 20 million years ago. But it is a very important aspect end to end. If I go to your about page, it will basically say, oh, let's connect. There is no real information of your achievement so far. If I go to your featured section, I don't see your project portfolio. And these are very, very important aspects to help you build, especially in public, to reach that desired startup company that you're looking to get started with. So your LinkedIn profile needs to be optimized end to end. Another thing is your CV, your resume. That's one thing they very much look at. One person used the same resume for AI automation role, data analyst role, project manager role. It's not going to work in that sense. When they say tailor your resume to the JD, it's very, very important. You cannot use a one-size-fits-all resume. It has to be tailored. And good thing about it is you don't even need to do it manually. That's why at the start of when I was speaking, I mentioned about the master resume. Your master resume has all your experience, even if you was as a customer service person, a data analyst, a project manager, it has all your experience in one document. And from that document, it can always tailor, always rephrase the sentence to the particular role that you're looking for without lying. It's more or less like structuring. So these are the things we'll also look at teaching you. These are the employability services we're looking to give you. Also in terms of monetizing your skills, apart from like full-time role, because for you to get to that stage, they would ask you for projects. So you need to be thinking about the freelancing aspect, the roles that will get you $10 per hour, $15 per hour before you start earning 60,000 USD at the end of the year. You have to start somewhere. So for those freelancing roles, would help you get set up on your profile, whether Fiverr, whether Upwork, and we also help with placement. So if you are a really good student in any of our programs, we have partnership with some organizations across the world. So we can also help with placement as well. So these are some of the benefits you'll be getting from the course. And at the end of the day, we also be giving you a certificate. The certificate is internationally recognized by the American Council of Training and Development. So if you can see, Tenalytics Business is an offshoot of Tenalytics, and Tenalytics is based out of Canada. So this certificate, you can use it to apply for jobs anywhere in the world. So it's not limiting in whatever form or size. So that's basically what we'll do for AI automation engineer. And then classes are always going to be on the weekends, Saturdays, Sundays. That's when you take your classes end to end. So quickly going into Gen AI for data analysts, these are for data professionals. So if you are a data analyst, data scientist, and I won't say you struggle, but it takes you quite a number of time to clean data. Have lots of missing values. You have to work with your Excel, create your pivot table to do your dashboards and things in that light. What if you can do that in 5 to 10 minutes? Something that takes you 8 hours, 2 days, 3 days, and that's where AI and data analytics come into play. We have a lot of AI tools right now. So there's Bricks AI, Zebra AI, Quadratic AI. All you need to do is just input your data set and it does the rest for you. So in terms of doing the rest for you, it means it analyzes the data, it cleans up the data set, it visualizes the data, it gives you recommendation, it gives you insights. And these are all typical things you need as a data analyst. So it's time has passed where you do Power BI, Excel, Tableau, that you're struggling with writing queries. Nobody really generally likes to code, except for people that like to do it. So if you can have a faster means of approaching this, why not take that away? Why struggle having to go over the manual process? If you're doing manual process, pretty much you're going to be left behind. Another important aspect is a data analyst and an AI data analyst do not earn the same. Like they are miles apart because there are tools that you need to learn as an AI data analyst. And these are things you need to pick up quickly, especially to upskill, especially to get to that salary range, especially for those who want to get foreign roles. These are tools that you need to pick up as soon as possible. So that's what you have for AI in data analysis. And then you have AI in business analysis as well, okay? You have a business, you're a business owner, you're a business analyst in a company. And then, on a day-to-day basis, they ask you to present your BRD document, okay? You're doing your requirement gathering phase, and that takes, 2-3 weeks to get sorted out. Why do you have to struggle? Why do you have to suffer? Who likes to suffer, basically? And that's why AI and business analysis come into play. So the entire document you need to present, creating your processes, your SOPs, looking at the different loopholes that a business can potentially have. As an AI business analyst, you can do it with AI. AI basically runs on searching for historical data, searching for different case studies, comparing your business and preferring solutions. So there are things that you don't even think of. So AI is really like your unpaid assistant, okay? I feel like a lot of people say this, but it can be overflowed because of how important it is. So it is basically looking at all these different aspects to implement in your business to help you attain that business goals and objective. Oh, you've not been making sales for this particular quarter. You made sales in Q1 and Q2. What's the issue? What's the difference? Is it a location thing? Is it a demographic? So you really need to calm down, look at the data, analyze it, visualize it. A lot of people do better when they see things on reports. So, if I'm looking at this location between Lagos and Kaduna, I sell more in Lagos, I don't sell in Kaduna. Why? Is it a location thing? Is it the people? So these are information that you can easily get with AI. Something that takes you days, you do it in minutes. You really can compare the value between both of them. Okay. So moving on, for my HR professionals, the call was really directed to you guys. So you have a lot on this platform. It majorly involves talent development. Okay, so searching for talent. It can be very taxing reviewing resumes, and I think Jedediah covered that aspect pretty much. So how can you improve your process? How can you improve your flow, basically? Okay, that's on the one end. Screening resumes, that's fantastic. We're coming down to performance review. You want, at this period, Q4, everybody's preparing their reports. I have been on a report for the past 2 weeks. I've been struggling for the past 2 weeks. If I implemented AI into my process, am I not going to be feeling a lot better? So that's why you have AI in HR analytics to say. So AI in HR analytics focus on things like your attrition rate, performance dashboard, retrenchment system, recruitment process. So infusing AI, even something that we typically use at the end of the day, the ATS system, okay? Because for you to get past the ATS system, your resume has to be up to standard, and you have AI in HR analytics for that, and improves your process, make sure that things are done easy and faster, and you're able to get reliable information at the end of the day. And finally, to the one that I'm super biased because I'm an AI project manager, project management. Okay, you work with projects on a day-by-day basis. It takes working on projects. It's 6 months contract, 3 months contract. These are easy, quick bucks you can make, and then you can have a full-time role, working on projects for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years as a project manager. You can grow to become a portfolio manager. You can grow to become a PMO director, and so on and so forth. But something that I would honestly say that I struggled with was creating documents like my Gantt chart, creating documents like my WBS, racing matrix, business case, project charter. Those take forever, to be very honest. And I don't like stress, honestly. And I think a lot of you on this call would, agree with me on that. Why would I need to stress on these things when I can have AI do it for me? That's my own motto. Okay. And as I mentioned earlier, as an AI project manager, I would say I confidently and conveniently earn more than a project manager. Because now, if you look at a lot of JDs, they ask you, what are your AI skills? Okay. Treasure, you're talking about Notion. Do you know about Notion AI? You're talking about Asana. Do you know about Asana AI? You're talking about Monday. There are AI tools embedded in each of these platforms that we use on a day-by-day basis. So it's pretty much, how can I use AI to make my life easy? It's not cheating, it's working smart, pretty much. So, and right now, a lot of organizations are recommending that you do that. One thing there was a news I was reading pretty much earlier on that Meta is giving bonus to the staff that are focusing on AI in their day-to-day activities. So really, everybody's embracing AI. Like on this call, you have Gemini. AI is right here with us. So why do I have to delay? Why do I have to stress? And that is why we have all these courses and all these classes. Like I mentioned at the start, we looked through the World Economic Forum report, and then we saw that these are the in-demand skills that you need to start earning high-paying jobs. Okay, you're not looking to high-paying jobs. You're looking for extra cash. You can really not do without extra cash. The next $10 per hour job, the next $20 per hour job. How can I get those roles? And you have these 5 options to go through end to end. Okay, so the good part now is Analytics is offering a discount. once in a lifetime, never to come again discount. Okay, so we have 50% to 75% of all the courses that I've mentioned: AI automation engineer, data analysis, business analysis, AI in HR, and AI in project management. Okay, so if you're going for the AI automation course, it is 50% off. That is, instead of paying 200,000 naira for the course, you're paying 100,000 naira. Good part is, we understand it's Nigeria. Sometimes you will not be able to make full payment. You want to pay 2 installments. Fantastic. You can pay 50,000 naira now to lock in your discount. And this discount also covers for 2 cohorts. It covers for December and it also covers for January. Okay. So if you're not able to start in December, you're enjoying your life for festive season, there is January cohort to get started. Okay, so you pay the 50,000 naira and you lock in for any of those preferred cohorts, and then for any of the Gen AI courses, whether it's HR, DA, BA, or PM, instead of paying you pay now, you pay your balance in end of December. That's if you're looking to start in December, and then you pay end of January if you're looking to start in January. Okay, just to give you an insight, all the courses are going to be 2 months. So 2 months, either you're starting December 6th to February 8th, or you're starting January 10th to March 1st. So this is the special offering that we're giving to you. If you're looking to upskill, if you're also looking to get a high paying role, if you're looking to, help improve your businesses, you can go for any of these courses. So I hope I've been able to clarify end to end the courses we have offering. I would now go to take your questions. Okay. So can anyone hear me clearly, just to confirm?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we can.
Okay, is it better now?
Yes, better now. Hello, Treasure. We can't hear you right now. All right. So I think Treasure has really taken time to break down all of the details of the program that are made available here at Tenalytics Business, and how you can actually make this transition into the space. Hello, Treasure. Are you settled to take on?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so Nigeria is really Nigerian right now. Thank God I'm not actually working on any project this evening, because I would have a lot to explain. Okay, so yeah, if you could hear me clearly, fantastic. I can see some hands raised. I think I don't want to keep anyone past at the very least 10:15. So I'm just gonna go ahead to ask for your questions. If you have any questions, I can see some hands raised. You can also drop your questions in the chat and we can take that. Okay, so I'm just going to go to, give everyone the opportunity to unmute your mic. But before you get to that, I'm just going to put it in the order that your hands are raised. I can see Ikechukwu first. So Ikechukwu, you can go ahead with your question. You can unmute your mic now and ask the question you have. Hi, Ikechukwu, are you there? Please, if you have questions, feel free to raise your hands. This is where we provide clarity on any aspect. It could be on what Jedediah taught. It could be on this aspect of things in terms of the training. If you don't want to speak, if you're shy, or you just don't want to, you can put your questions in the chat. Okay. Hi, Henry. Henry, please go ahead with your question. Hi, Henry, are you there? Okay, I can see you are unmuted, but I can't hear you. So if you're speaking, I can't hear you. Henry, are you there? Okay, so while Henry is sorting that out, I would go to the chat. Please, if you have any questions at all, there is no silly question. You can drop it on the chat or you can raise your hand. So you said, please, how much did you say? Discounts and payment details. I didn't get that aspect. Okay, let me just go to my slide, because I feel like that would be a lot easier to respond to. Okay, so for the pricing, and this is where payment also comes into play. For pricing, we have the 5 courses. Discounted price instead of 200,000. If you're going for AI automation engineering, you're paying discounted price of 100,000 naira. Okay, that means you're paying 50,000 naira today to lock in your slots. If I didn't mention this at the start, or maybe network, threw me out or something, this discount price we've been running is for the past 2 weeks. We had 50 slots last week. As I'm speaking to you right now, we just have 8 slots left. We had 50 slots 2 weeks ago. We have 8 slots left now. Okay, so 800. If you're looking for AI automation, it's 100,000 naira. You pay your 50,000 naira right now, and then you're looking to pay your balance in December. That's if you're starting December cohort. But if you're starting in January, you pay your 50,000 naira now, and then you pay your 50,000 naira in January. Okay. And then for any of the GenAI courses, they are all 50,000 naira discounted price. You can pay 25,000 naira now and 25,000 naira by January. So these are your 2 options. That's if you're going for January cohort. If you're going for December cohort, pay 25,000 naira now and 25,000 naira end of December. Okay, so these are the payments plan and the installment packages that we have offered. Please clarify, or if you got what I just mentioned. You can give me a thumbs up if you don't want to speak, so I know that you got what I mentioned. Hi, Peace, are you there? Peace, are you there? Okay, please isn't responding. So Henry, I can still see that you're unmuted. Please, can you go ahead with your question? If you're speaking, we can't hear you. Okay, Henry still not speaking. Hi, Isaac James. Hi, Isaac James.
Hello.
Okay, Henry, good, fantastic. I can hear you now. Please go ahead with your question.
Okay. During the section, I had an issue. I was thinking it's gonna be like interactive because of there's some stuff that I wanted to ask questions during when he was having a section with the whole NX the whole NX. Yeah, so I wanted to ask some questions when he was talking about loop and some other stuff that he was talking about. But I was never, I mean, even right now, I wanted to ask questions specifically. And the question I have is that the classes, are they going to be interactive? Because is it going to be like this, or is it going to be interactive?
Yeah.
Because it's going to make it easier for me to ask easy questions, my questions, without me forgetting anything I'm trying to say at a particular period of time.
Yeah, Henry, that's a fantastic question. So the classes are very much interactive. So this is a masterclass session. So it's just showing you some of the things that you'll be working with, and we try to work with time. You see, there was a lot of glitches, so we're not even meeting time. But that doesn't happen in an actual class setting. Actual class setting, you can raise your hand, you can ask questions at different intervals, and then your facilitator will be able to respond. Just to give you a glimpse, this is the AI automation class that we have. Classes are also going to be fully recorded. So if per adventure you miss any points and then you want to go over it, you always have the recordings to watch the videos, and then you are able to see end to end what has been done in class. So you are not left out of the process. So just to reiterate, classes are going to be 100% interactive, and that's what we thrive on. And then if at any point you missed the class, you missed information, network was pretty messy throughout today, and you weren't able to follow end to end, you also have the recordings to go over. Henry, I hope that answers your question.
Yes. And another question I have is, the AI automation engineer, is it all these other aspects of generative AI, and with the AI automation engineer, will I be able to build automation systems for HR specialists, business analytics, even project management? How those that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So just to clarify, AI automation engineer, it is focusing on automating workflow. Generative AI, it is AI to generate, AI to create. So AI to create dashboard, AI to create reports. But AI automation is looking at workflows, looking at processes end to end. So how can you automate these different processes that you have ongoing? So yes, you'll be able to create for whether it's a project management aspect, whether it's for HR aspect. But there's, if you're looking at the niche down aspect, like niche down to project management, you're not going to get the specificity for that because it is broadened, it is general. It doesn't look at specific information for specific industries. So you would have the broader general knowledge of how to automate your processes, but you would not have, oh, as a data analyst, I'm talking about Excel, Power BI, Tableau. So what about the specific AI tools for each of them? That would not be stated in AI automation engineer. That will be stated in generative AI for data analytics. But if you're looking at conversational AI agents that you can use on your website, or automating the workflow in terms of cleaning a particular data set, you would get that in AI automation engineer. I don't know if that clarifies.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So have you figured which of them you're going for, or do you need further clarity on that?
I've already, why I'm asking this question, because I've already paid
Oh,
I've paid
okay.
for the I've already paid for the automation engineering.
Okay. Well, you can
Yeah.
also be at liberty to take more than one course. You're not limited to just going for one, but AI automation engineer is a solid pick because whatever industry you're working with, you do need to know how to automate your processes, and that's where AI automation comes into play. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to go to the next person. Chika, please go ahead with your question. Hi, Chika, are you there? Chika, you also dropped in the chat, your hands are raised. Please go ahead with your question.
All right, thank you very much. I was trying to unmute.
Okay.
I did not start the class early. My first question is the fact that I did a course on data analysis with Coursera, and I've not been practicing. So if I add this to the courses I've done now, what's my benefit, or how am I going to start using it, and am I going to use it to apply, or what?
Okay, so fantastic question, Chika. I also mentioned it during the call, but I'm just going to take it again. So for traditional data analysts, you're learning specific tools like Excel, Power BI, Tableau, and SQL, okay? And then if you look through the curriculum end to end, you see that for each of the classes, each of the weeks, you have a project that you're working on. Each of the weeks, you have a project that you're working on. And this is because we want to be able to build your project portfolio. For you to be able to apply for any of those jobs, especially an AI related role, they would ask you, what have you worked on before? And this is where the project portfolio comes into play. So now, instead of you just learning typical things like Excel, Power BI, Tableau, and SQL, we now have the benefits of AI embedded into it, okay? So AI embedded in it means that, oh, you're going to be making use of tools like Bricks AI, Quadratic AI, Zebra AI to do tasks that takes you quite a number of hours to get done. If you have a messy data set of over 10,000 rows and columns, I promise you're sleeping on it for the next 3 days. But you can get it done in less than 5 to 10 minutes with the use of AI. And that's where, these different tools come into play. And even for specific roles abroad, that's foreign companies, they ask specifically for you to have AI skills, to know these different AI tools. So these are some of the benefits you're going to be getting. Apart from that, we're also going to be dropping job opportunities across these different countries, would help you with your LinkedIn optimization, your CV review. There would also be a mentorship session. And at the end of the day, you are getting an internationally recognized certificate that you can use anywhere in the world, especially if you're applying for these roles. So these are some of the benefits that you are getting, taking this particular course. Does that answer your question, Chika?
Very well. Very well. Thank you very much.
Okay. So yeah, go on.
If I'm to make payment, can I do that tomorrow? It's not late, right?
Well, 8 slots. I think we can work with tomorrow. So just do it as soon as you can, because I can't guarantee how long 8 slots are going to be left. But as soon as you can get that done, you can, pay for this particular course. And you don't need to pay full payment, like I was mentioning to the other person. So if you do have 25,000 naira, okay, let's take this back. 25,000 naira right now, you can lock in your slots for the AI for data analyst, because we have over 30 people on this call and I can already see some payments coming in. So if you have 25,000 naira, you can lock in with that and then you continue or make your balance payments later on. But tomorrow also works fine for this as well. Okay.
All right. Sorry. I want to take you back because I think I heard some things you were saying, and I would like to share it with someone. So concerning AI engineering, the automation engineering, is it automation or automation engineer?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you please enlighten me on this, so I know what to share with the podcast?
All right, fantastic. So, like I mentioned earlier, AI automation engineer, it is all the courses we have are beginner friendly, but AI automation engineer, in layman term, it is workflow automation. Okay, so repetitive tasks that you do on a day-to-day basis, like emails, like applying to jobs, like reviewing resumes, depending on the particular industry that you are on, how can you automate it using AI? Okay, so if you're looking at the specific courses that or the specific curriculum that we're going to be working with, we pretty much start off with introduction to AI automation, the LLM tools you're going to be working with, the different specific tools like Zapier, like Anything, like Flowwise, like Crew AI. There are quite a number of them. Okay, so we'll be working with this end to end, and then it would also show you how to create multi-agent system. Okay, so advanced workflow automation. You're looking at conversational AI agent, voice AI agent, something that people really enjoy, chatbots, especially for websites and the different websites that you have ongoing. How can you impute chatbots into this end to end? And one thing that people are very, very, very particular about is how can you monetize your skills as an AI automation engineer? And these are all the things that we'll be focusing on end to end in this particular course. I don't know if that answers your question, Chika.
All right. I'm okay. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Yeah,
I'm looking
Chika.
for.
Yeah, go on.
I said I look forward.
Yeah, I look forward to your registration, Chika, and I hope that you are able to do it before the discount is over. I would not want you to pay 200,000 naira after being on this call. I don't want anybody on this call that wants to register to have to go through that amount. So as soon as you can lock in your discount, I would recommend that you do that ASAP. But yeah, fantastic speaking to you. And if you do need to share this information with others, you can go ahead to do that. The registration page is easy to make payments. And for those people on the call, if you're looking to register for any of them, apart from making payments to the account details, you can do it on this page. So all you need to do is click on register to secure your slots in any of the 5 courses. You put in your full name, your email address, your phone number, what course you're registering for, December or January, your payments plan. If you want to pay full payments or 2 installments, you can do that. Click on proceed to make payment, and it takes you to Paystack. And once you are in your Paystack account, you can fill in whether you want to transfer, whether you want to pay with card. You can do all that end to end here. But Chika, yeah, fantastic question. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having you in class. Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Thank
I can
you.
see. Yeah, I can see more hands raised. So let's have Ubon. Ubon, please go ahead with your question. Ubon, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Okay,
Okay.
good evening, ma'am. Yeah.
Good evening.
Okay. First of all, I want to clarify that I've locked in my slot for AI automation engineering. Okay,
Okay,
but
fantastic.
I still have some things to find out. Okay, one of it is the aspect of pay for I mean, of course, as much as we want to get the knowledge, we also want to know what we're going into and want to know what to expect. Okay, yes. On Glassdoor, yes, I've seen. Yes, I saw these figures, but it's looking like for senior role. So I don't really know. I just need an insight on what it is for persons who
I
just
just have
completed years, just starting. Like we
okay.
just want to know what to look at. I mean, we want to know what we're looking at. Just prepare our minds on what it is. So I know you're
Okay.
already in the space, so I think you have more information on that. So
Yeah.
that's one question. Then the second one is, then I don't know, is there any provision by Tenalytics to include cybersecurity in their list of courses going forward? I just want to have that in mind because I also have an interest in that. So I want to know if there's any provision for that. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Ubon. I think that's a very fantastic question. So talking on realistic basis, for any of these entry level roles, when I started off, I didn't exactly start out earning 60K dollars per annum. It starts small. So you're looking at earning between $10 to $15 as an entry level AI project manager, AI data analyst. That's the actual figure. $10 to $15, $10 to $20. But you know, the real way to play smart with these things is to look at startup organizations. For companies like Google, Amazon, you might not get that specific amount, but if you're looking to earn pretty much high, you should be looking at startup companies. Startup companies pay a lot more, but you know the risk involved. They can decide to fold up at any point, but you get to earn more. And another thing that really helps boost your portfolio is freelance opportunities. So if you are doing 3 months here, 6 months here, on a contract basis, you have chances of earning between $20 to $30 as well. So realistically, these are the amounts that you're getting. So if you're summing that up, you're looking at what, $30K at the end of the year, which is quite substantial for someone that is what, 6 months, 3 months, 5 months out of the classes. And that's why we very much heavily include projects at the end of each week. So at the end of each week, you already have at the end of 2 months, you already have your project portfolio all built out, and it's easy for you to go into the job market and start applying for these roles. Does that answer your question, Ubon?
Perfectly. For the first
Okay.
one, then the second one.
So for second one, Tenalytics does have a cybersecurity course, but that's itself. And you know, Tenalytics courses are priced in dollars, not in naira. So I'm just going to scroll all the way to the classes that we have here. So you can see this. You see that there's a cybersecurity program, and that cybersecurity program is running for $500 because we're also running a discount on that end. But this course is going to be for 8 months. So you're going to be doing 6 months of classes and then 2 months internship. So that's the 8 months end to end for this particular course. So if you're looking to register for this, then you can take the cybersecurity program. In terms of Tenalytics business, maybe in the future we might consider it, but we already have it for Tenalytics. So if this is your course of interest, we can send you more information on this and you take it up from there. Okay.
Okay, I've taken note of this. So maybe after AI automation engineering, then I'll go deep into it. Thank you so much.
All right, you're most welcome. So let's move on to the next person. Hi, Isaac. I can see
Hi.
your hand.
Yes.
Yeah, please go on.
Good evening from here.
Yeah, good evening.
So first of all, I would like to say a big thank you to you guys for the good job you're doing. And it might come all street, but yes, you do have an extra skill, which is sales. Maybe you should look into that. So
Thank you.
yes. So moving forward, it's not like a question though, because obviously it's something I want to go into. I want to just fully just change a career path and all of that based on what I do currently. And AI automation engineer is something I want to look into clearly, and that actually caught my interest. I came in late, yes, but it's something I always wanted to do, and that's why I actually joined the group. But then, just to wrap it up, so I don't take much of your time, I would like to make payments tomorrow. And as you said, when exactly is the class getting started? I know it's next month, but the date,
December 6th.
December 6th. That's fine. So I could actually make payments tomorrow if that works. Maybe you could just leave a link here. If you have the chat.
The link is on the chat. My colleagues are posting it. I don't know how, because I mentioned we had 8 slots. I already see 3 payments in, so that's bringing it down to 5 slots for this. So Typically, if you want to lock in tomorrow, we can reserve a slot for you. I think you and Chika mentioned that. But we mentioned that you should register as soon as possible because the discount is something that won't last. People really like to, benefit from that as soon as possible. And then 200,000 to 50,000, as if you're going for any of the general courses, is a big drop. So you don't have to make full payments. There's the installment plan. So you can always do the installment plan as well. So if that's easier, you pay your 25K for either of the programs and you pretty much lock in your slot. So that's what I would say on that. Okay.
I was thinking this is supposed to be 50 if it's installments. The installment here is exactly.
Yeah, AI automation is 50,000 naira. But if you're looking at slot right now, it's 100,000 naira rather. With the installment plan being 50-50. If you're looking at your slot now, that's today, you can pay 25K now, then 25K before the start of class for either December or January. So that's the flow for it. So just so that we can help you with making the payment plan easier for you, that's why we have this different option. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. That's fine. So just to also close up on the last question, we have just 4. Is it 4 now? How many would these be? You said it's just Saturday and then Sunday for every week, right? So that's literally 8 weeks, 8 days rather, for the entire class. Do you think that's more than enough to cover up all the courses you actually listed?
All right, apologies for that. Isaac, please, can you go on?
Okay. I actually didn't notice. So I was asking, you mentioned the classes are just for Saturday and then Sunday, right?
Yes, Saturdays and
And
Sundays.
then just for a month.
It's
And
for 2
literally
months.
2 months.
Yes.
So the guys who get started December continued down to January. Is that what you're saying?
So December to February 8th, because there's going to be a break. There's a Christmas break, from 20th we shut down. So we're going to be looking to resume operations by 5th, 4th, thereabouts. So, we already have like 2 weeks off in December. So your class will now extend into February, but we'll be wrapping up by February 8th.
Okay. Not a problem. Okay.
All
No
right.
problem then. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Isaac. So please, if there are any other questions, first son, I saw your question on the chat just before I dropped off in terms of it being beginner friendly. 100% it is beginner friendly. We've had stay-at-home moms join our program, people in nursing, people who are lawyers, people in a totally different industry getting started. And at the end of the day, they are full-on AI automation engineers, full-on AI data analysts. So it really doesn't matter. Even if you are doing a blue-collar job, at the end of the day, you can easily join any of our program and you get your certificate. It's not even about a matter of certificates, having the necessary skill set. So you have all those necessary skill sets to get started in AI engineering or whatever program that you look to get into. Okay. Chika, are you talking about the payment link? Hi, Chika. Are you there? Okay, so I will just wait for that. Hi, Alabi, do you have a question?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Chika, go on.
Yeah, it's about the payment link. I'm trying to upload my receipt.
Oh, you're trying to upload your payments. So the receipts, is it not going through?
I can't. The link is not accessible. It's taking me to fill in the form.
Yeah, you've made your payments with the Kuda account, correct? Or you paid on the website? Which of them?
I paid with the Kuda
So
account.
yeah, the next link that is sent, click to upload your receipt. It's going to take you to a Google form where you fill in your details to register. Or you can also reach out to the phone numbers. Blessing, Janet, please drop so that you can assist her with the registration.
Okay, that's better. Thank you.
Yeah. Blessing Janet, are you there? Please drop the link or the phone number or WhatsApp line that she can reach out to so that we can get that sorted. Okay, so Alabi, I saw that we were unmuted. Please, you can go ahead with your question.
Thank you very much. I I want to. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
I am a product designer, and as I kind of, I do a couple of programs. I do front end and work on projects like that. So with this AI skill, which actually works best for me, I'm trying to look at the AI. Okay, that's AI generative. Okay, automation. Sorry. So I was checking it, and some way somehow someone is saying generative AI for business analysts.
Mm, okay, thank you, Alabi. So I'm just going to make sure because I can hear an echo. So for who is unmuted now? Okay, I can hear myself now. So for product design, the best pathway for you is actually AI automation engineer. If you're looking at even Google itself, it has implemented, I think what they call it Nano Banana. Nano Banana that can help you with pictures and all that stuff. But apart from that, there are other AI tools like Relum. I remember when I was trying to, I'm not a designer. Just let me just give that disclaimer. Okay, but I was assisting my boss to kind of help revamp our websites. There are tools like Kajabi, there are tools like Relum. Relum was very, very important for us. It gives us the actual, what do I call it? If I'm looking at building a website end to end and I want to design the product, so what am I looking at in terms of colors, in terms of what would be a good font style, the core UI UX aspect to it. And I didn't need to do anything. I just need to give it a basis. Oh, this is the company's name. This is their business goals and objective. This is the type of product they work with. All I needed to do was just prompt it. And at the end of the day, I got wireframes. I got different design steps that I would need to implement. If I'm a product designer, I've never designed before, but with AI, I could do something tangible. And imagine that being in an actual product designer's, arsenal. It makes your work easier. You can now create and, think and bounce off ideas between yourself and the AI. AI is literally now your assistant in that sense. And there are quite a number of tools that you can also benefit from. So AI automation engineer just improves your workflow. So instead of you spending hours and hours thinking of, oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? You already have AI giving you options. It's now for you to select, either modify or improve on. I don't know if that answers your question, Aladi.
What about programming as a whole? I'm actually building. I've been working on a learning platform like that, and the
Mm.
only tool I actually assisted myself with was just going with ChatGPT, just a little, and I'm doing everything. I had always been doing it, burning
Mm.
my burning myself for it. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of easing my work.
Yeah, to reduce your work, if you want to look at Replit, apart from this typical coding, we have what we call vibe coding now. There are tools that you can just give prompts. If you want to build a website, I was trying to look at creating a site that would sort of, because me, I'm more into career coaching, okay, looking at resumes, being able to give me cover letters, give me tailored resumes and other aspects. And all I needed to do was create a site like that. So for Replit, you're just going to prompt it. It's not ChatGPT itself, but it has an AI generated system that once you prompt it, it will create an entire app, an entire website for you to do whatever process that you need to do. So these are just other tools that, apart from looking at the front end aspect, if you want to do the entire coding, it does the coding for you. All you need to do is just state specifically what you want to achieve. And these are some of the tools you'll be working with in AI automation. Alabi, did you catch that?
Okay, so AI automation actually works for me. Do I see? Okay, but I actually thought you are doing something with project management.
Oh, yes, I'm a project manager. I handle software, the SDLCs. That's a different entirety of what I do on a day-to-day basis. But I'm talking about as an actual product is product management is for the managerial aspect to it, the administrative aspect to it. So talking about like your core documents that you're working with, before I start, I need a PRD document. Before I start, I need to have Gantt charts. Oh, this is what the software dev would do. This is what the QA would do. So it's administrative tasks. But if you're talking about core design in itself, what will be beneficial for you? AI automation is beneficial for you because it helps with your own workflow. It helps with your own process. But I myself am managing people that does design, that does back end, front end aspects of it. So you can see that there's a bit of difference in our workflows. Do you understand?
Okay. I think. Thank you very
Are
much.
you clear or are you not clear?
I think I'm clear.
You can't be thinking, oh, thinking concrete after.
I'm just trying to run through the. I didn't actually start with you, so that's actually good. It looks like I am in for this now. Okay.
Okay.
I saw you
Um,
display the prices. Okay, that means I should just go for the automation engineer. I guess with all the projects I have now, it's be easy for me to work along with that.
yeah, AI automation is okay. And like I mentioned earlier, in terms of payment, you don't need to pay the full payment at once. Even if you won't have the opportunity to start in December, you can always start in January. And just like the other generative AI programs, you can pay, it's supposed to be a 50,000 naira first installment, but you can pay 25,000 naira like today on this call, and then you pay your balance before your start of class, or either in December or January, and you complete the 50,000 naira at the end of December or at the end of January, as the case may be.
Okay, but the way you actually design the course, it's okay, you actually said it's beginner friendly. That means, let's take for instance someone who is actually trying to see that they create a portfolio and stuff like that. Did you say your course actually covers down to make you job ready, or kind of?
Yeah, okay. So yeah, my laptop isn't coming at the moment, but basically what I was trying to say is for each of the week, if you go to the website, the open program link that my colleagues are dropping, if you click on it, if you go on view curriculum, you see that there's a Saturday, Sunday class. On Saturday, you are doing the theoretical aspect. On Sunday, you're doing practicals. At the end of Sunday, you're going to be given a project. Oh, build this conversational agents, build these chatbots, do this, do that. So those particular projects would now form the basis of your portfolio. So if you have an 8 weeks timeline, that means you have 8 projects to cover. And at the end of the 8 weeks, you're going to work on a capstone project that covers every activity you've learned from week 1 to week 8. See, so at the end of the entire class, you should be looking at having 10 projects in your portfolio, AI related projects that you've worked on, and that you can not only you do not only just have theoretical knowledge, you have the necessary skills to use those tools, do those activities. And if I call you for an interview, oh, show me how you embedded the Telegram chatbot. You should be able to show me end to end from start to finish what you were able to achieve because you've done that in class. You've done that as a project as well. So we're going to help you build those project portfolios, whether it's a visual website, whether it's a document end to end. And at the end of the day, you'll be able to get particular job opportunities or even freelancing opportunities as the case may be.
Okay, I think you talked about AI helping you do job search, and I think I overheard something like that. I was having a break in my network then, like AI helping you do the job search. I'm not sure. Was that what you were saying? Then
Okay.
okay, okay,
All right. So just to clarify, that was my own personal project. I was explaining a particular workflow that I created. So what I was trying to do is, like I mentioned, I'm also a career coach and I sort of mentor other individuals. So how can we fast track this application process? I was noticing quite a number of fatigue amongst my mentees, for lack of a better word. So what we basically did was create a workflow using NA10. And this is how it works. The trigger is every 6 hours or 24 hours or 12 hours, as the case may be. So for those specific time slots, it goes to the different job boards like LinkedIn, like Indeed, to source jobs. But apart from that, I already had what I created. I call my master resume. So my master resume has a lot of my experiences. I worked as a project manager, I worked as a customer service person, I worked as a salesperson. All that is embedded in my master resume. Okay. So now if I'm looking for specific roles that is project management or operation related, what the workflow would do is compare that particular job description to my master resume and give me a compatibility score. The major thing I'm looking at is, it has to be from 70% or 80% and above for it to pass over to the sheet where it's going to recommend each of the JD and so on, that, this job is a good fit for me to apply for. Okay. So once it's 70% and above, it populates on my sheet. Okay. Once I have that done, then it now runs me into the ChatGPT node. Going to the ChatGPT node, I cannot submit my master resume. I need a tailored resume for that particular JD. So the tailored resume that I need, ChatGPT would analyze it based off my master resume. I have a prompt system for that. I give it prompts what it needs to do, making sure that I have all my experience, all the documents, and then it outputs a document, a tailored resume for me. It outputs a tailored resume, a cover letter for me as well. So those two documents would now be linked into my other sheets where it has the tailored resume, the JD, and the tailored cover letter. So now once I have that, if I go and come back at the end of the day and I have all those populated, then I go ahead to apply without having to think, is this job a good fit for me or not? I have AI running all those processes for me. And then at the end of the day, I can just apply. So that's the workflow I'm talking about. This is not anything project related. It was just my personal project that I worked on. Does that clarify?
Oh, yes, indeed. Then using these tools, do you have device specification or kind of trying to see?
Okay, so for this specific tool, for any 10, at least you basically just need a processor. Core i3 is fine. For Core i3 above, you can work with any of the any of the AI tools. From Core i3 to i7 works just fine. It doesn't require any specific gigagram or that, but the processor needs to be Core i3 for it to work just fine. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma.
You're most welcome. So, Alabi, please just go ahead to lock in your slots. I don't want you to. Chika, I've seen that you've registered, so well done. Go ahead to lock in your slots and would Isaac, yes, I've seen your registration as well. So Alabi, like I mentioned, slot fills are pretty much fast. So just lock in your slot. If you have 25K, you lock in now, fill in the form, and you go ahead to register. Okay.
Can I
Thank you
book
so much.
it like this, like this night?
I didn't get that.
Are you saying I can lock in with 25K?
Yeah, you can lock in with 25K this night, and then you balance before the start of class by December 6th. If you're looking to start in December, or January 10th, before January 10th, you're looking to start in January. Okay.
Okay, okay. I think that's easier. Okay, but to make it clear, I I thought that stuff is going for how much?
AI automation is going for 100K, just to reiterate, for the discount price. Okay. You
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
installment plan of 50,000 naira, 2 installment plan. You pay 50,000 naira now, and 50,000 naira end of December, end of January. But if you're doing the maths, you can pay 25,000 naira now, and then you pay 25,000 naira before your start of class in December 6th. So it's like paying 50,000 naira before December. But just to reserve your slot for now, if you have 25K, if you have 50K, you can lock it down. That's the plan. And then you pay the balance end of December or end of January, as the case may be. Do you understand?
It's clear now. It's clear.
All
Thank you.
right. Yes, once you lock in your discount, you can still let me know if we're on the call, or you can go ahead to fill the details in the chat as well. So my colleagues have dropped them. You can just go ahead to fill in those details. Okay. So let's move on. I saw Imna Yobana. I saw your hand raised. Please, you can go ahead with your question.
It's been addressed already. I pulled from someone else.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been addressed. Okay, so have you locked in your discounts in now? I don't want to see if you have stayed here to 10:31. It means you have proper interest in this. If you haven't locked in your discounts, it would be very great if you can do that now. So that you don't miss out on this discount. I really do not want anybody on this call to have to miss out on that discount. It would be such a shame, to be very honest. Yeah, so moving on to the next person. Hi, David. I can see your hand raised, and I think I also see your question in the chat. I got this final pitch reminder from WhatsApp for Nebian. Yes, Tonight's business acquired Nebian, so we are affiliated with them. And please, I had earlier made an upfront payment for business analysis course. Can you clarify this difference? Yes, it is different. The business analysis course you are doing with Nebians is core business analysis, but generative AI in business analysis is an added layer. So instead of you just being a traditional business analyst doing your BRD, process mapping, elements of project management in there, now there are AI tools that can help you with each of these processes. So something that takes you 10 days, 5 days, weeks. Because when I look at our Gantt charts, we can see how long this timing works. You can do it in less than 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. And this is where AI comes into play. There's quite a number of tools. There's Azure DevOps Copilot, there's Perplexity AI. There are all these different tools to help you improve your processes. So AI in business analysis is different from traditional. That's your business analysis that you're doing with Nebians. So you can take the generative AI course for business analysis. If you're already doing that, if you want to branch into something different as well, there's AI automation engineer that would help you with your workflow. And just to reiterate, you can take more than one course at the different time slots. David, I hope that clarifies. Hi, David, are you there? David, I can see you're unmuted, but I can't hear anything. You can drop it in the chat if that clarifies for you, so that we can take it up on.
So can you hear me now? Is it better now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So thank you so much. I got the information. Sorry, the time is really fast spent. I must say this was a good pitch. I think for me, I'm really interested because I don't know, when I ran through this, I saw all the programs you guys have got. For me, I'm really interested, and my core reason is just to more like to upskill myself and to move with trend of time, and maybe in the nearest future I could also still maybe change my career anyway. I'm a core manufacturing person with made a bias in project management, but then I've not really acquired professional courses there. So two things on my mind now. The business analytics is something I'm interested in, but then you just mentioned that I can take multiple courses. But where I have my fear is conflict of time. I don't know if there is a calendar somewhere I can check from your website or something that describes all these calendars. So we're able to, divide ourselves, know where to be at part-time and all of that, manage our brain and all of that. So the business analytics that I registered way earlier with the Nebian team, we've not even started that. And I'm seeing this generative AI, which I'm really, really interested in based on how you presented it. So the project management one is one that I'm interested in. Maybe I would need to still chat you up much later. I quickly checked up your profile on LinkedIn. I've given you a note. I've connected to you or with you to see maybe much later I'll be able to learn more from you, especially from the career aspect. So please, I don't know, I'm trying to rush things so that I'm not caught up on this. But please, how can I do the business analytics that I much showed interest on with the Nebia team? And how can I also do the project management generative AI that you have also got? Are there conflicts of time? Let me know. Just look from your back end and see if it is possible.
Okay. So, do you know when you're starting because I need to know what course you're in for your business analysis. Is it the January course or what, the December course?
It's the December course.
Okay. So you can take your business analysis course in December. This program that we have, even the discounts, it runs for December and January. So you can start your journey in business analysis in January while you do your business analysis in December for the course, and then you continue. The time frame wouldn't conflict. I would speak with Mohammed and the guys in Nebian so that we can sort that out. So we can enable you to take both courses concurrently. So once you're done with business analytics, you can do AI and business analysis as well. Does that clarify, David?
Okay, yeah, it clarifies actually. I'm interested in that of the project management anyway, but maybe I can wait until next year, like you advised. I don't know, but I am really interested with that project management.
AI and
generative.
project management is fantastic. I don't want to sway you because I would be very biased because I'm an AI project manager. So I don't want to sway you. Do your business analysis course. You can lock in your discount for the January course because either of the program, instead of paying 200,000 naira, you are paying 50,000 naira now. You know, we're doing December anniversary type of sales. So instead of you paying 200,000 naira, I would really recommend you lock in with 25K. So you don't even need to pay the full amount. You're locking with just 25,000 naira right now. And then you can now decide, oh, do I want to go for business analysis? You can send me, let me drop my number. You can send me a message and then we can take a conversation as well on whether you can stick with the business analysis or you want to go for the AI and project management as well. Okay.
Okay, that helps. Thanks.
All right, but pretty much just locking your discount right now. Ubon, I'm
Sure.
not sharing your screen.
I'll do that.
Okay, so Blessing just dropped the account information. You can do that. And in regards, learning specifically, what's the calendar info? I'm just going to drop the link to the website so you can also read more on that as well. Okay, David, are you clear on that?
Super clear. Thank you, Treasure.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, this is 10:38. I didn't think we're gonna be here this long, but anyways, I signed up for this. Does any other person have any question? Ubon, are you good?
Just in shopping at designer boutiques.
Hi, Ubon.
Yes, ma'am. I'm good. Just I wasn't seeing your screen again, so.
Yeah, my screen is down for now.
Okay.
Hi, Imna. I saw you dropped a question in the chats. I want to make sure that everyone that stayed to this point, we cover their questions. Hi, Imna, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Locking. Okay. Yeah, first one, please, you can go ahead to lock in for AI and data analysis. Like I mentioned to David as well, you just need to pay the installments. Once you are paid the installments, you are good to go. We can now discuss, if you have any other further questions, there are clarity sessions that I take. You'd have a conversation with either myself, Mohammed, or Ayobami, and we'll be able to push you through. But please, I already see 4 payments in. 4 out of 8 is remaining 4. I just don't want anybody here to miss out on that. Okay, so hi, Imna. Please go ahead with your question. Sorry to cut you short.
No, we spoke already. I said it's been addressed.
Okay. Have you locked in your slot, Imna?
Yeah, I'm on it.
Okay. All right. Please just do that as soon as possible, and then we can have further clarity sessions. Okay. Thank you, Chika. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, everyone that has locked in their slot. For those that haven't, you can lock in your slots. My phone number is on the chat section. If you want to have a conversation with me, I am very much open to that, just so we can help you choose the right tech career pathway and ensure that you are set up and good to go. For the rest, Emeka, I feel like I've seen you in quite a number of our sessions. Femi, I know you've registered for our sessions. So for the remaining people that are here that haven't, I would recommend you highly do that as soon as you can. That being said, we overshot the time by over 40 minutes. I didn't expect that, but I'm glad that we've taken each and every one of your questions. If there are no further questions, please enjoy the rest of your evening. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy. Chika, where do I find your number? My number is here. I dropped it 2 minutes ago. Let me drop it again so you can reach out to me directly if you have any questions or concerns. So first on, please, have you locked in your slots? You can fill in the registration form while we are on it. Let's see, first one is still here. Okay. Person, if you want to have a conversation, you can do that. Person, Ubon, please go ahead, lock in your slots. as well as David. David as well. Please lock in your slot so that we okay. All right, good. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on WhatsApp and I will be able to provide support to each and every one of you. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your day. Mark, you're copying now. I haven't heard one word from you. But I look forward to having you in class anyways. Thank you so much and bye for now. Bye Yusuf as well. Bye Imna. Judges.
Bye for now.
All right, bye Mark.
You do respond to chat, right?
Sorry?
You do respond to chat. I can
Yes,
send it.
yes, yes. Sorry, I haven't opened my WhatsApp just yet.
That app is always busy.
Hi Mohammed. Please can you help me end the recording?
All right. Just give me a second. I think I'll have to join on my laptop.
Yeah, I'm on my phone as well. That's why I can't end it.
Just 1 second.